Welcome back. In our first video, we went through how the general concept of this effects processor using a Raspberry Pi, the signal path from our instrument through the audio interface into the Pi, through the software that we're going to be using on there and out. Today, we'll go over the setup of the Pi to be a dedicated effects processor. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to need is obviously a Pi. The one I'm running right now is a Pi 5 with 16 gigs of RAM. This came out earlier this year. This is 2025. And it's working really well. I don't know if you necessarily need to have the top of the line Pi right now. I mean, even that goes for $120. I haven't seen it top out as far as things go, like its resources. So I would guess that you can probably use another 5 or possibly a 4, but I haven't tried that out yet. This is what I'm working with right here. Once you have your Pi, then you'll want to install the operating system. Raspberry Pi, they make it really easy to install your operating system. What you do is you download the Raspberry Pi Imager off of their website, and once you download that, this is the window how it looks on there. You choose your device, you choose your operating system, and then just install the standard OS onto that micro SD card. I won't go into that in depth here. There's lots of tutorials online. Other hardware that you're going to need for your setup, you're going to need some type of audio interface to get the audio in and out of the Pi. So this, like I said in the last video, this is the one that I'm using right now. You can find it for around $75. That's what it is here at Sweetwater. Other one that I know would work for this as well would be a Scarlett Solo. This is another good option, but you want to get something that's small, light, is portable, and that is plug and play with Linux. And I know from experience that Focusrite and PreSonus interfaces both work well for this. Another thing that you'll need is some type of foot controller. Most likely you'll want to be able to turn effects on and off, to start and stop loops. So to do this, you'll need something that's a MIDI controller to be able to do that. The one I'm using right now is this MIDI Captain. I got it off of Amazon like this. It's fairly affordable compared to other options that are out there, and it's not feature heavy. It doesn't have a ton of the extra features that other pedals might have, but it does everything that I need. And it has 10 banks of, if you see this, the up and down arrows right here, it's got 10 banks of settings. So you've got 8 buttons here, but then once you push one of these top and bottom buttons, that takes you to another bank of 8. And that's the way most of these pedals work. Actually, a lot of them, they have banks of pedal settings. Another option, I also have used this in the past too, a Soft Step. These are great pedals. It's pretty amazing what Keith McMillan has done with these two. They have a lot more features to them than that other one. So that's another good option. Here I am on a fresh install, well, almost completely fresh install of Raspberry Pi. The only thing that I've done to this so far, I've plugged in the network cable, so that's showing up right here that's connected. I've also, before starting this video, I set it up to run headless. So, and you'll want to do this. So you'll want to turn on Raspberry Pi Connect right here, allow screen sharing. And with that and then you're going to sign in. And you sign in using your Raspberry Pi account. And once you're signed into that, now you don't need to have a separate screen, mouse, and keyboard for your Raspberry Pi. You can set it up, you can control it from a computer, from your tablet, from your phone, anything that you might want to use for that. Once you have your Pi set up and you're ready to start installing your applications, you can do that. So you go up here to your Start menu, go to Preferences, Add Remove Software. Let's go through in the order of the signal path. So first QJack. So QJack CTL, hit enter. It's going to search for it here. And we're going to go ahead and install this Jack Sound server right there. So we click on that and then click apply. There we go. Now with QJack, one thing that I've learned about it is that when you first install it, it doesn't show up under sound and video like it should. So then you'll want to go to Preferences and then Main Menu Editor and Sound and Video, and it shows up there, but you want to uncheck it and then recheck it and then click OK. And then that usually brings it right back up. So see, now it's right there. And then you shouldn't have a problem with it anytime after that. Now that we've installed QJack control, next thing is to install Carla. To get Carla, you have to install the KX Studio repository. So just go ahead and open up your browser. You can click right here and that'll open up your default one and do a search for KX Studio, and that'll take you to their homepage. Just go right here to the toolbar up at the top and go to About, How To, and when you click on that, scroll down here to Debian Ubuntu. This is how you install it. So you just select that, copy it, and then you'll use your terminal right here. I have one open already because I just installed it. But you go to Terminal and paste that in, and then run each of those. So as you run each of these, it'll install the software and update everything. So do that for all 4 steps of that, and you'll have the KX Studio repository installed. And then with that installed, you can go back over here to your Add Remove Software. You might need to do a restart, a reboot of your Pi. But then you should be able to do a search here, and then it'll show up right here, Audio Plugin Host. So then you just check that box, just like you did with the last one. Apply. Yay, now Carla's installed. One more thing that you might want to put on here too is Super Looper. So do a search for that. That'll show up here. That's in the standard repository. There we go. Now we have Carla, QJack control, and Super Looper all installed on here. And they'll show up all right here too. If you want to change the way those are ordered in that list, you can always go over here to your main menu editor, and you can move things around in here too. So that's, you know, and in fact, you're not going to be using this for watching movies and stuff. So I just uncheck the things that I know I'm not going to be using on this, and they'll disappear from your menu over there. Let's go ahead and get some sound in and out of it. First thing to do, this is the first time I've opened QJack on this installation, so you'll want to go to your setup. Excuse me. Find your interface, set MIDI driver to sequence. That helps later when you're setting things up in Carla for it to be consistent. Choose your sample rate. A lot of plugins, some of the plugins that you might want to use are going to be sample rate specific, and usually that's 44.1. And so that's why I use that as my default for this, is just everything tends to work with that. 128 works good for that. Leaving the buffer at default works fine usually for me too, and that gives you a 2.9 millisecond latency level. If you know, set that 128 and take it down to 64, notice that that does cut that down significantly. It's a matter of finding what works for you. How many effects are you going to have running on this? And, what feels uncomfortable. For me, 3 milliseconds, that feels pretty comfortable. Anything under 10 is acceptable. But when you get down to 3 and 2, it's like that almost feels like there's nothing going on there between your playing and what you're hearing coming out. So I'm going to click apply to that. And then go ahead and X out of this. Click start. And you can see it started. So that means the interface is working well with the Pi. Now I can come up here, open up Carla. And from Carla, you can see already the buffer size is there that we set. The sample rate that we set is right there. We can go to our patch bay and move this around to there. And now we've got our capture right here and our playback here. So I don't have my bass plugged in right now, but I would take that and I would put that to there, put that to there, and then you're going to have audio coming from the input straight to the output. There's nothing happening in between. Okay, now I have my bass in the studio, and I can. So that's coming just through the Pi and getting picked up by the mic in the room here. Now if I want to add an effect in the middle of that, I can right click this. I'm just going to disconnect all, right click on some blank space here, add plugin. Then you can narrow things down. I already narrowed it down a little bit here. But let me show you some of the filters that you can use here. First of all, type. You want, if you're using this as an effects processor, you want effects. So you don't want to see the MIDI plugins or instruments. Honestly, if you wanted to do this same type of setup and use this as a portable synth that you just plug a USB keyboard into, you can do that too. There's some really good synth plugins on here. But we're looking at effects today. So I'm going to choose effects and then go to category right here. I don't have any distortion ones. I haven't installed anything yet. This is just what comes built into Carla. I'll show you how in the next video how to get more plugins and install those so that you can have a much wider variety and a lot of options. So much it can get even overwhelming just how many options there are out there for this. So let's go ahead and do like a delay right here. And then I'm going to choose the Zend Reverb. And I'm plugged into Capture 2. So I'm going to stick that into here. And in fact, because this is a stereo plugin, I'm going to go into both. And then I'm going to feed both of these back into Playback 1. Because I'm treating, right now I've got this set up as though it were just plugged into an amp. Now I've got this. So right there, that's a reverb that comes built in to to Carla. Go ahead and take a look through, get all that stuff set up, search through all the plugins that are available just native to Carla, and on the next video we'll get some more plugins installed. All right, see you then.